ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनच्छलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं सागरजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। पंचकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय राधानाथ स्वामी नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमती भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष पादमहं वंदे श्री गुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानंद माधवम श्री चैतन्य ईश्वरम। हरि ओम तत्सत। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome back. So hope you all had a wonderful Diwali celebration and you're all having a wonderful month of Kartik. So we're going to continue back with our series on the Srimad Bhagavad. We are currently at the third canto, second chapter. I was just checking with some of you, but which verse actually we stopped. I had my own understanding of which verse we stopped on in the second chapter, but I was not very sure. Does anybody clearly remember? Otherwise, I'll take my last memory. Okay, my recollection was somewhere around 20th, 21st verse onwards is I think where we need to continue. Anyway, so just to set the context back again, this particular chapter is the beautiful meeting of Shri Uddhavaji with Vidura, two very great souls, two very great devotees of Lord Krishna. They are meeting at Prabhas Kshetra. At the time of their meeting, of course, the Mahabharata war has happened. Subsequently, the Pandavas have also disappeared. The Yaduvansha, by the arrangement of the Lord, has also disappeared through the Mausala Leela, which we discussed in the Bhagavatam in the first canto, where the Yadus fought amongst each other. And then also Lord Krishna, by his own arrangement, knowing that it was time now for him to wind up his pastime, he has also disappeared. The Lord instructed Uddhava to go to Badrikashram and on behalf of Krishna give his association, or give Krishna's association to the sages in Badrikashram. This is a very interesting point. When one associates with those who are very close to Krishna, one actually feels that one is associating with Krishna. And that is what is called Satsanga. When we associate with the Sata, Sata refers to the devotees who are very close to the truth. Of course, the Param Satya, the Param Truth is Sri Krishna. So when we associate very closely with those who are close to Krishna, we actually feel Krishna's presence. So that was the seva given to Uddhava. And Uddhava happened to be at Prabhasa at that particular time when Vidura, who had left home, what was his home? Hastinapur. He was, if you recollect, kicked out of Hastinapur by Duryodhan with very abusive words, very harsh words. Even though Vidur was always a great well-wisher of the Pandavas and the Kauravas, he was always a well-wishing friend. He was actually a half-brother of Dhritarashtra. But in spite of his best endeavor to try to make Dhritarashtra understand, Dhritarashtra was blinded by his uncompromising affection towards his son at all costs. He was blinded by moha. So anyway, he was kicked out and he also thought, why not use this opportunity? Of course, he was too spiritually advanced to be bothered just by the external words. Of course, he was feeling sad that Duryodhan spoke the way he did. But Vidura said, okay, good. Let me take this opportunity. I should not stay at a place where I'm insulted. So let me go. This is a good example of how a devotee behaves if he is mistreated. Of course, in certain situations where it is appropriate, one can deal with the situation in an appropriate way. But sometimes when a devotee is insulted, rather than going into a cheap level of arguments, a devotee in a dignified manner sometimes thinks it best not to get into a verbal spat and bring himself to a low position. So sometimes it is good to walk away. Sometimes, not always. It depends on the situation. But Vidura in this case decided to do that. It's a very nice saying, which I always keep in mind. Said, in terms of with whom you should argue. Even when we argue or discuss, we should know, are we talking to a person who's rational, sensible? Otherwise, we are just going to get dragged down into a dirty spat. Like they say, when you wrestle with the pigs, you get dirty and they enjoy it. So we should be careful not to drag ourselves into these kind of things. When we wrestle with pigs, they enjoy it and we get dirty. Because that is what pigs are good at. They like to roll around in the dirt and they enjoy it. But those who are transcendentalists like Vidura did not want to engage in a verbal duel with Duryodhan. He just took that opportunity and he walked off. And he went through many places. We have discussed this. I'm just recapping what we have discussed since we have taken a break. So we get the context back again. And through his travels across the various parts, we said he went along the bank of the Saraswati. He visited various places and they are named in the Bhagavad. And then finally comes to Prabhasa. Prabhasa is the place near the ocean where the Yaduvansh disappeared. And Uddhava happened to be there. And that is where the beautiful meeting of Uddhava and Vidura, these two great souls, both of whom were very, very dear to Krishna, it happened. And when two devotees of the Lord meet each other, what do they do? Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. A devotee naturally always likes to discuss about Krishna, talk about Krishna. But talking about Krishna, discussing about Krishna is tasteful. when it is done with somebody who also has a taste for it. Yes, correct. Let's say you are expert in one subject, you are expert in physics. Will you enjoy discussing physics as much with a person who is an English literature expert, or you will enjoy discussing with somebody else who's also a physics expert? Because when you discuss the exciting aspects of physics, when the other person understands and relishes it, then both of them together can actually experience great joy. I'm just giving a material example just to help us understand the spiritual point. Of course, when two devotees discuss, it's actually at a very spiritual level. It's just not an academic, intellectual discussion. But just to help us appreciate this point, when two devotees discuss, when devotees who have taste, both who are attached to Krishna, when they share their heart, it becomes such a wonderful experience to discuss about Krishna. Satam prasangam mama virya samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tad joshanaadhyapavarga vartmani shraddha prati bhaktir anukramishati. This is a word from the Bhagavad, verse from the Bhagavad. Very beautiful verse. We have already covered this in the earlier chapters. Some of you may be able to recollect. This verse essentially says, when we discuss Satam Prasangam in the association of other devotees, Mama Virya Samvido, Krishna himself is saying, Mama Virya Samvido, my glories are discussed in the association of devotees. Bhavanti Rhit Karna Rasayana Katha. That experience of that discussion is so relishable, so nourishing. It is so pleasing to the ears as well as to the heart. Rhit Karna Rasayana Katha. Not just intellectually stimulating. This is not just an academic discussion. This touches the soul. The heart becomes so enlivened, inspired, spiritually energized. Rit Karna Rasayana Katha. Tad Joshanadhi Apavarga Vartmani. And one can progress very rapidly on the path of liberation. Shraddha, Rati, Bhaktir, Anukramishati. Shraddha means faith. Rati means attachment. And bhakti means love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gradually one progresses from faith to deep attachment, your love. How? Simply through the process of hearing and chanting in the association of those who have a similar taste. This is such a powerful process. In fact, the very setting of the Bhagavatam is where Shukdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj, both of whom have great taste for the Lord, are sitting and discussing, and both achieved perfection. So that is the perfect formula. So following in their footsteps, we are also attempting in our own small way to develop that taste and attachment for the Lord. So that is what happened when Uddhava, Sri Uddhavji and Viduraji met. When Vidura asked Uddhav about the welfare of the Vrishnis, Uddhav, of course, by that time actually Vidura already had heard, but he was so shocked that he did not express that he knew. And he asked he asked Uddhav, what has happened? How are they? And there was one chapter which was full of questions about how is this person, how is this person, how is everything? How are the various children of Krishna? How is Vasudeva? And Uddhav becomes so emotional. Because when all these names of all these personalities are remembered, he felt so much intense separation from the Lord as well as all the devotees. He feels intense separation. He becomes absorbed internally, and finally, after some time, he comes out from his deep trance his deep meditation, and he starts recollecting beautiful episodes of Krishna's pastimes. And we discussed a few mentions of how Uddhava is glorifying Lord in various ways. He's recollecting various beautiful episodes. He's recollecting how the Lord was so kind. He's actually remembering various aspects of the Lord, Leelas also, but he's also trying to articulate how the Lord and his pastimes are actually so amazing, so extraordinary. Even though Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, even though Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead, when he performs his Leela in this world, how sometimes he acts in such ways that sometimes common people get bewildered. God, why is he doing like this? Sometimes he appears to behave in a way as if he does not know. Sometimes he appears to behave as if he is fearing something. So many episodes like this. There are a few mentioned here, and we will go through them as well. For example, Uddhavji is mentioning Krishna after he killed Kamsa, he came back to Mathura. He freed his parents. He was praying to his parents and saying, "Oh, my parents, please forgive me. I should have come earlier, but because of Kamsa and fear of Kamsa, I was in Vrindavan. So please forgive me. It took me so many years, 11 years, for me to come and save you." And his parents were feeling so affectionate to Krishna. They saw him because after birth, Vasudev took Krishna to Vrindavan, actually to Gokul, and they didn't see him for 11 years. Only when Krishna came back to Mathura after 11 years, being brought back on the invitation of Kamsa by Akruraji, then eventually in the Dhanur Yajna, Kamsa was killed. Vasudeva and Devaki were released, and he comes and so affectionate. This beautiful meeting between Vasudeva and Devaki, and Uddhav is recollecting, and Krishna is begging and saying sorry to his parents. I am so sorry you had to suffer so much. It's actually so sweet. The Lord poses himself as if he was helpless. But actually, so just a very sweet exchange. All of this was arranged by the Lord out of his own sweet will. The Lord arranges various episodes in various ways, but when he arranges all these apparently bewildering pastimes, we should always keep in mind that whatever is arranged by the Lord, everything is done with a very, very specific purpose. The Lord is actually so expert in arranging everything. The Lord is so expert in arranging everything that he ensures that when a pastime is performed, everybody involved, everything is adjusted in a way perfectly based on how he wants to deal and interact with each individual. Krishna wanted that he spends 11 years in Vrindavan with Nanda, Yashoda, Gopas and Gopis. That is why he asked Vasudeva, please take me across as soon as he was born. He wanted to glorify Vasudeva and Devaki of their great sacrifice. That is why he did like that. Of course, Vasudeva and Devaki are eternal parents of the Lord in the Mathura, in the spiritual world. So they are eternally enjoying Krishna's association. Of course, you may see here, oh, they did not get Krishna's association so much in the Leela here. Eternally in the spiritual world, they are associating with Krishna because they are also eternal parents of the Lord in Mathura of the spiritual world. But in Goloka Vrindavan, in the spiritual realm, Nanda and Yashoda are eternally in Brajdham, in the association of Krishna of Braja. So Krishna arranged everything so perfectly, so it seemed as if externally Krishna was fearful, and that's why he was, hiding in Braj. And Uddhav is saying, "Oh, this is so Amazing how Krishna
That
performs
thing, Allah, isn't it? The phone cannot reach.
beautiful pastimes. So Uddhav mentions about this. And then he also mentions about how Krishna is so extraordinarily kind. What to speak of the kindness that he is giving to devotees like Vasudev, Devaki, Nanda, Yashoda, and others. Krishna is so kind that even extremely envious personalities like Shishupal, who were continuously criticizing the Lord all through their life, the main goal of his life of Shishupal was to criticize Krishna. Just hated Krishna like anything. Shishupal is the very personification of envy of the Lord. I think most of you know the story, so I'm not going to go into that because many pastimes are mentioned in this chapter and we do not have time to discuss all of them. So if you need to read up on those pastimes, you can, but I think most of you know Shishupal, who was a cousin of Krishna, was habituated to criticize. And there was a benediction given by Krishna to his aunt, the mother of Shishupal, that I will tolerate up to 100 offenses at one time. So it was in the Rajasuya Yajna of Yudhishthir Maharaj that Shishupal was so disturbed by seeing how Krishna was honored. Envious people, when they see somebody whom they are envious of being honored and respected by others, they just can't take it. So Shishupal he freaked out when Krishna was given the Agra Puja, the first worship in the Rajasuya Yajna. He was just freaking out and he just went on blurting abuses after abuses after abuses. And finally, Krishna told him 98, 99, 100. Okay, enough. Krishna took out his Sudarshan Chakra, chopped off his head. But Krishna is so wonderful. Somebody said, oh, Krishna has become intolerant. Somebody will say, Krishna has become intolerant. Why he didn't tolerate his criticism? No. Krishna was so kind to Shishupal that by killing Shishupal, Krishna gave him moksha. That is the greatness of Krishna. Whoever comes in contact with Krishna gets purified. Even if somebody comes in contact with Krishna, either through anger or through envy, also they get purified because Krishna is all pure. Amazing, isn't it? And this is mentioned in the Bhagavad very specifically. Even if one directs lust, anger, envy towards Krishna, because it is connected to Krishna, Krishna is so powerful that he will purify. And whoever is killed by Krishna achieves moksha. That gati which is achieved by great sannyasis who are attached to the impersonal Brahman, that gati was achieved by Shishupal. He achieved moksha. Krishna is so kind. In fact, Uddhav says, oh, so wonderful. So many yogis take so much efforts to achieve this impersonal liberation. But Shishupal achieved it so easily. Amazing, isn't it? The great acharyas also comment on this particular point by saying that also means that the impersonal liberation is also not such a high attainment. Because even the asur, those who are envious of Krishna, also are given that. Isn't it? The destination that the envious asuras achieve when they are killed by Krishna is the same that yogis who are not devotees of the Lord but attached to the impersonal Brahman, they also attain the same destination. But the point is, Uddhav is amazed, he's glorifying, is so wonderful. Even though he was envious, he achieved that. Krishna is so merciful. Who can tolerate separation from such a merciful Lord? And what to speak of Shishupal, even on the battlefield, greater than this feat of Shishupal being liberated, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, all those who are fighting, especially those who are fighting in the vicinity of Krishna and Arjun, and as Arjuna's arrows were killing them, It is said Arjuna would shoot the arrow, and as soon as Arjuna's arrow would pierce them, because Arjuna is such a great devotee, the Arjuna's arrow piercing would purify them from their karma. And as they were dying, they would see Krishna in front of them, and they would feel some attraction to Krishna. Because Krishna is so beautiful, so attractive. Akarshayati iti Krishna. Krishna itself is all attractive. Nobody can be in front of Krishna and not be attracted. When he entered Mathura, the whole city of Mathura gathered just to see him. In this world, we have some idea of when some famous film star or somebody comes, how people throng. Nothing can compare to how when Krishna comes, everybody would throng around him. Of course, for the first 11 years, nobody thronged because it was only the residents of Vrindavan with him. Of course, they would throng him all the time. During the day with his friends and during the evenings with the gopis, they would all be thronging to have one glimpse of him. Just see him even for a moment. They would wait the whole day. So attractive. But as these warriors were being killed, they would look upon Krishna's beautiful face, and he's so attractive that as they were dying, they would remember him. And because they had some little positive attraction towards Krishna, some appreciation, they actually achieved Vaikuntha. Even those who are on the side of the Kauravas, as they were dying, they achieved because they were purified first by Arjuna's arrows, and then seeing the beautiful lotus-like face of Krishna, they achieved the Vaikuntha abode. Amazing, isn't it? This is how compassionate Krishna is. Who can forget him? Who can forget this kind of a Lord? He's worshipable by everybody. And this Lord who's so powerful, who's so great, that even with a little connection with him, one can achieve impersonal liberation. A little attraction to him, one can achieve Vaikuntha. This great Lord in Mathura would stand in front of King Ugrasena as if he was junior to him and subservient to him, and present explanations of various political things to King Ugrasena as if he was a subject. He would explain, "Oh, my dear king, this is how I'm presenting. Please let it be known to you that these are how the things are. This is how the things are." So amazing. This is another quality of Krishna which is being brought out here, which is that out of the Shad Aishwarya of Krishna, the 6 opulences, beauty, unlimited wealth, unlimited intelligence, unlimited strength, unlimited fame. But in spite of having all these 5, Krishna is unlimitedly renounced also. How to find somebody who's perfect in all respects but so humble? He's standing in front of his parents. Vasudev Devaki and humbly saying, "I'm so sorry." When Draupadi was disrobed, and later when Krishna actually, of course, Krishna saved her from that situation. But when Krishna actually met Draupadi later face to face, this is not mentioned in this chapter. I'm just sharing some thoughts of how Krishna is so personal and so humble in spite of his extraordinary position. Extraordinary is an understatement. When he met Draupadi, Draupadi pitifully cried in front of Krishna and said, "Oh Lord, where were you when I was being disrobed? Where were you? This was happened to me, this happened to me." And she was crying and wailing in agony. Of course, Krishna was there at that time also. He only protected her by giving the sari. But that is not how Krishna said, "Oh, I had come. I was there, you didn't see me." Krishna didn't brag like that. Nor did Krishna tell Draupadi, "Oh, it was your karma. You did like this." No. Krishna told Draupadi, "Oh, Draupadi, I'm so sorry. You were in so much difficulty, but I couldn't come that time." I mean, he posed himself like that in a very humble way. And he told her that I'm going to fix everything now. That the Kauravas have gone too far. trust me that every wrong that has been done, the other party will have to pay very, very heavy price. Krishna sometimes takes such humble position in front of his devotees, even though he's the master, even though he's never wrong, even though he's Achyuta, one who never makes mistakes. He never tries to position himself as great. He loves being subservient to his devotees. He loves taking a humble position in front of his devotees. But those who become proud in front of Krishna, he also enjoys crushing their pride. Whether it be Indra, whether it be Brahma, or whether it be the Asuras. Ye yatha mam prapadyante tams tathaiva bhajamyaham. As you approach Krishna, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. And Uddhav then continues to mention one very beautiful pastime of Krishna. In verse number 23, he says, this is the limit of Krishna's kindness. Aho bakiyam stanakalakutam jigam saya payayad api asadvi lebhe gatim dhatri uchitam tatonyam kamvadayalum sharanam vrajema. Who can be more merciful than Krishna that I can take shelter of? Uddhav is saying. He is so merciful that even Putana, the witch, who came to kill Krishna by poisoning her breast and trying to feed him milk, and in that way trying to kill him, Krishna was so kind to her that not only he drank the poison, but he sucked her life air, and Krishna purified Putana, because Krishna saw in Putana a little bit small desire of motherly affection, a very tiny spark. And seeing that tiny positive thing in her, Krishna gave her the position of a nurse in the spiritual world, a position like his own mother, Dhatri. Lebe gatim Dhatri. She achieved the gati of a Dhatri, of a nurse, an assistant of Mother Yashoda in the spiritual world. Oh, Krishna is so kind that he overlooks a million faults, or he very quickly purifies the million faults, and he takes one good thing and he blesses the devotee. Who else is worthy of being taken a shelter of other than Krishna? No other personality, no other incarnation of the Lord also is so compassionate. So he goes on glorifying the Lord. Like there are many verses, we don't have time to discuss everything. So please read the verses and the purports on your own also. So some parts I'm going to very briefly mention, and some parts I'll elaborate slightly. Then Uddhavji goes on to remember Krishna's pastimes, especially the pastimes performed in Vraja, right from Krishna's birth. How Krishna appeared in the jail, the prison house of Kamsa, who was the king of Bhoj. He appeared to Vasudeva and Devaki. He came to this earth on the request of Brahmaji, and then on the instructions of Vasudeva, of Krishna, Vasudeva took Krishna to Gokul. And he spent 11 years in Gokul. Even though he was a royal prince, he spent 11 years out of his own sweet will, like a cowherd boy, in a hidden form. Practically nobody in the world knew that this was the son of Vasudeva and Devaki, just like a flame which was covered over. He and Balaram. Balaram was the son of Rohini. Rohini was the wife of Vasudeva, another wife of Vasudeva, who was residing in Gokul at that time. Krishna and Balaram grew up there as cowherd boys, grazing the cows of Maharaj Nanda. And Uddhavji is remembering how so beautiful Krishna and Balram roaming on the banks of the Yamuna river, along with the cowherd boys and the cows and the cows. Oh, it was so wonderful. Through the gardens, the kunjas, Yamuna Tiravanachari, Jaya Kunja Bihari. Krishna is famous as Bihari. You have heard these names? Kunja Bihari. Krishna is called Kunja Bihari. Krishna is also known as Brindavan Bihari. What is the meaning of Bihari? Bihari doesn't mean from Bihar. From the state of Bihar. Not that Bihari. Here the word Bihari comes originally from the word Vihar. It's actually Vihari. Sometimes in Hindi it is pronounced as Bihari. Vihar means he who enjoys by roaming around. Roaming around. Yeah. In Malaysia we say jalan jalan, right? Just roaming around. Yeah. Who doesn't like to just roam around, just move around, And especially when you want to just move around and sport around, surrounded by your dearmost friends in a beautiful natural settings of beautiful mountains, beautiful rivers, beautiful friends, with beautiful fruit trees, and there are so many beautiful, wonderful cows. Krishna would enjoy walking on the banks of the Yamuna with his cowherd boys. The beautiful birds singing. And Vrindavan is so special because in Vrindavan, the wonderful thing about Vrindavan is every living entity of Vrindavan is a top class devotee. They are all great sages. Even the deers and the cows are perfected souls. They are not dumb animals like others. And it is said that that is not just true when Krishna was there personally, it is even true now. That even the animals who are in Vrindavan are not ordinary. And there have been many experiences that many devotees have had in this regard. I just mentioned one. Holiness Janananda Goswami Maharaj was once telling one story how he was in Vrindavan and there was this dog who was continuously disturbing him by barking. So then finally Maharaj came out and he was trying to make the dog keep quiet. So the dog was barking. So Maharaj came and he looked at the dog. And he looked at the dog and said, Hare Krishna, such a way that he will keep quiet. And the dog, he looked back at Maharaj. He raised his head, looked back at Maharaj. The dog said, Hare Krishna. Maharaj said the dog spoke. Not bow bow, huh? He spoke the words, Hare Krishna. And Maharaj was shocked. Anybody will be shocked, right? The dog looks back at you and says, Hare Krishna. Wouldn't it be shocking? It was amazing. Maharaj personally replied, personally shared this story. I've heard directly from him. So it's amazing. We don't know. Because Vrindavan is so special. It is such a special land that great sages, great yogis appear there and sometimes takes form of beings who may not even be human species. But especially when Krishna was personally present, all perfected souls, many from the spiritual world, others who were perfected souls in this world, they all appeared to participate in the Lord's Leela. Some who were almost perfect, they wanted to participate in the Leela and become fully perfect. And others were already perfected soul who came from the spiritual world. And Krishna performs such beautiful, wonderful, attractive pastimes in Braj. Just suitable for a boy. What do boys like to do when they are young? Play, eat, and do lots of mischief. Isn't it? But the difference between what we do and what Krishna does is, what Krishna does is pleasurable to himself also and pleasurable to everybody. The problem is when we do mischief, our mischief is actually a disturbance to others. But when Krishna does mischief, Krishna's mischief is pleasurable to everyone. Even though they externally complain, they're all enjoying it. Everything is sweet about Krishna. So even though he was so powerful, Krishna was so powerful, even though he was a small child in Braj, he killed so many demons. Putana amongst the first, when he was a very small baby. Trinavarta when he was still a baby by kicking. Shakatasur by kicking, Trinavarta by pulling him down, by becoming heavy. Then Aghasur, Keshi, so many demons. So Krishna was always like a lion, even though he was in a small, beautiful, delicate form. And Krishna would enjoy these pastimes of Bihari, Vrindavan Bihari, Banke Bihari. Banke Bihari is also such a beautiful, famous temple in Braj. What is Banke Bihari? Krishna is Bihari, but what kind of Bihari? Banke is Banka. Banka means he's not straight. Krishna's form is bent in three places. He stands in a very particular position. He has a style. A very cool style about himself. He stands in a very cool, the most beautiful, casual manner, playing his flute. That is the supreme amongst the cool positions in this universe. He's the original cool guy. Very beautiful. That's why he's known as Banke Bihari, the one who roams around and stands in a very beautiful threefold bending form. Karshan Venu Swaner Gopir Gopinatha Shriyastunaha. So he performs his beautiful pastimes. And in play, as he was in Braj, in play, he would kill the demons. It was like a side option. Between the play, sometimes some demons would come and attack. And he and his friends would be there, and then Krishna would just take some time off and kill the demon in front of the friends, and then all the friends would dance, and then he would say, okay, good. Now, I'm feeling hungry. My appetite has increased after killing this Dhenuka. So now let us sit down for lunch. And all the children and Krishna would sit down for lunch. So Krishna would do everything so playfully. He never took out Sudarshan Chakra, like Lord Vishnu or Narayan. He would not, like Ramchandra, take bow and arrow. In Vrindavan, Krishna did not use one weapon to kill any demons. Not one weapon. You see all the killings that Krishna did. Various ways. Very effortlessly he would do. In play, he would do. The comparison given in the Bhagavad is just like a child. Sometimes when he's playing with a doll, the doll breaks. With that kind of ease, Krishna would kill the demons. It didn't seem like a stressful thing. You see Ramayana, Lord Ramchandra and Ravana's fight. Such a big episode. And now this is not to say that Lord Ram was not powerful. That's why he had to exert himself. That is not the point. Lord Ram is also all powerful. But the point in Ram Leela, how the Lord positions himself in a very different way. But in Krishna Leela, as Krishna is the original Purna Purushottam, he positions himself in such a different way. Such a playful way he executes all of this. Kamsa also, Kamsa was the first time, he actually came to, when he stepped out of Vrindavan and he went to Mathura and he killed Kamsa. That time also he didn't use any weapons. He actually punched him. But before that, most of the other demons, he didn't even punch. He didn't even come to that point. Keshi, he just put his hand inside his mouth and choked him. Aghasur also, he went in and he grew in size. Of course, some demons like Bakasur, he broke the beak into two pieces and split him into two. But everything was done very, very playfully, in a very simple way. But there were some demons or demoniac people whom he did not kill because he saw in them some hope of being revived. One such example was Kalia. Kalia, he was very envious one lake where Kalia was staying, the Kalia Daha, it would become so poisonous because of Kalia's presence. And there's a long story behind it. We don't have time to go into that story today. But summarily, Kalia had made that place so poisonous that the cows and the calves, if they would drink from there, they were being killed. So Krishna, to rectify the situation, he came there, he jumped into the Yamuna, that lake of the Yamuna Daha, and he started, he engaged in a duel with this Kalia. Initially, Kalia appeared to have an upper hand. He put his coils around Krishna and he captured Krishna. And all the Brajbasis were saying, oh, hi, Krishna has been captured. Krishna is going to be, he's just a tiny boy. Because the Brajbasis never thought of Krishna as Supreme Lord. They thought he's just our boy, he's just my friend. He's just little, so delicate. Because when you look at Krishna in externally, so delicate, so beautiful. The gopis would feel, oh, how Krishna goes into the forest to herd cows. His feet are so soft. The stones and the thorns will be pricking his feet. But it is said the same feet, when they were touching the heads of Kalia, Kalia felt as if it was a thunderbolt each and every step. So Krishna can be as soft as a feather when he wants and as hard as a thunderbolt when he wants. He's soft for the devotees, but those who want to clash with him can also be the most. So Krishna allowed himself initially to get into the coils of Kalia, and he was actually waiting to create some excitement. And all the residents of Braj gathered, and the residents of Braj were praying to God, God save Krishna, God save Krishna. Not knowing that Krishna is only God. Then when Krishna said, okay, now full audience has gathered, now I think I should actually start my show. And when everybody gathered, Krishna jumped out of the coils of Kalia and said, okay, now time to dance, now performance, now full, all the seats in the stadium are full. Krishna was doing some time pass because he was waiting for everybody to gather. Finally, Radharani also came. So after Radharani came, Krishna said, okay, now I should dance. Now I have to demonstrate my dancing skills for the pleasure of all my devotees. So Krishna started dancing. Now, so many of you may be fond of either dancing or seeing others dance. The dance is so attractive to see. Krishna started dancing so artistically, so beautifully. First of all, dancing by itself, even on a stage, to dance beautifully is challenging enough. But Krishna was not just dancing on a stage. Krishna was dancing on the hoods of Kalia. As the hoods were viciously moving violently in different directions, all trying to bite Krishna in various ways. And Krishna effortlessly would jump from one hood to another as if he's doing some effortless dance steps. Very elegantly Krishna would do. And Kalia was not able to do anything. So you can imagine how amazing that dance would have been. It would be so nice if we got a chance to see that. So Krishna is also known as Vrindavan Natabara, the topmost dancer. Lord Shiva is Nataraj. Lord Shiva is also a very good dancer. But Krishna is supreme dancer. So that was one very beautiful pastime. Then another very beautiful pastime. This was one demon, Kalia, whom Krishna did not kill. Krishna purified him by dancing on his heads and taking out all his poison. And especially because Kalia's wives, they were all great devotees. They prayed to Krishna and said, please forgive your husband. Please don't kill him. So Krishna let him go. He crushed his pride and then told Kalia, please go away from here. Don't bother the residents of Vrindavan. And Kalia left. from that place. It is said now he's somewhere in Fiji. Kalia, by the way, is still alive. So if you happen to see him, you can also have some nice Krishna Katha with him. And you can see the marks of Krishna's feet on his head even today. Of course, I haven't seen, so but they say so. Prabhupada said he's somewhere near the island of Fiji. Then another beautiful pastime where another person who became proud was Indra Devata. Because of his opulence, he became so proud that Krishna decided to teach him a lesson, and Krishna performed that super excellent pastime of Govardhan Leela. Crush the pride of Indra. Krishna crushed Indra's pride, Krishna crushed Brahma's pride. So many beautiful stories. The Govardhan Leela, Krishna so kindly, he lifted the Govardhan hill on the little finger of his left hand for 7 days, 7 nights. This is one of the most special festivals. Actually, on this particular Govardhan Leela, we can speak for hours and hours because there are so many beautiful stories around Govardhan pastime. And it is so purifying. It is so sweet. It is so special. Govardhan itself is so special because Govardhan, Antoya Madriya Bala Haridasa Varya Yam Rama Krishna Charano Sparsha Pramodaha. Govardhan is both the greatest devotee of God, Haridasa Varya, and at the same time, Govardhan is also Krishna. It's a manifestation of Krishna himself. Govardhan appeared in this world when Krishna appeared. When Krishna was to appear, it was arranged that Govardhan appeared in this world before Krishna came. That's another very beautiful pastime. Govardhan appeared as the son of Dronachal. And there is a beautiful story how Pulastya Muni brought him from the Himalayas, from Dronagiri to Vrindavan. That's another beautiful story. I'm not going to that. But Govardhan was there to fulfill, to become like a playground for Krishna and Balram. Very beautiful. So Krishna actually lifts this beautiful hill, Giriraj, on the little finger of his left hand for 7 days, 7 nights. And there are many, many reasons why Krishna performs this beautiful pastime. Of course, one reason was obviously to crush Indra's pride. But another reason was that all the residents of Braj were really missing Krishna. They were all thinking, Krishna goes to herd the cows in the pastures in the morning. He comes back only in the evening at dusk. You don't get to see him throughout the day. So many of them were complaining. The Gopas were saying, we don't see him during the night. The Gopis were complaining, we don't see him during the day. So Krishna said, okay, let me satisfy everybody. For 7 days and 7 nights, I will stand in front of everybody and everybody can see me to their heart's content, unlimitedly. And everybody was there with Krishna. For 7 days, 7 nights, all the residents of Braj were with Krishna all day, all night for 7 days, 7 nights without break. It was the topmost festival for the eyes. Krishna was standing there lifting the Govardhan. He was like a model, standing there in a pose. All the residents of Vrindavan are looking at him. Very beautiful. Even as Krishna was standing there, he was performing so many beautiful pastimes. He was looking at all the devotees and he was glancing on them and blessing them and pleasing them in various ways. So that's a very beautiful pastime. Uddhavji is remembering this. How Krishna lifted this hill as if he was carrying an umbrella so effortlessly. Not that Krishna had to really exert, I have to lift. No, not like that. It is said, just like a child lifts a mushroom, or we may carry an umbrella, like that Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. And the topmost Leela, of course, Govardhan is one of the topmost, but beyond the Govardhan Leela, the topmost Leela of Braj is the concluding verse of this chapter. And what is that Leela which Uddhav remembers? That is the Leela in the season of Sharad, on the full moon Tithi, Sharad Purnima. What does Krishna do? Krishna performs the Sharadiya Rasa Leela, the topmost of all the topmost pastime. Again, where Krishna spends 1 day of Brahma, the period as long as 1 day of Brahma, dancing and sporting with the topmost devotees, the gopis of Braj, headed by Srimati Radharani. In the beautiful moonlit night in autumn, singing beautiful songs and beautiful dances, Krishna performs beautiful Ras Leela, which is representative of that most intense, intimate love between the Supreme Lord and the living entity, the soul, the Atma. That intense love, that intense desire to serve. So Uddhav is recollecting all these beautiful pastimes. All that I've told you is what are all Uddhav's recollection as he's talking to Vidura. Because as soon as Vidura asked him about Krishna, all these memories spontaneously came to Uddhav's mind. Uddhav was just going on saying, oh, like this, oh, Krishna is so wonderful, he's so compassionate, he's so great, he was kind to all, everybody, he was kind to Putana, he was kind to even Shishupal. He was kind to all those who were killed on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And what to speak of that, the residents of Braj were the most fortunate. Because if Krishna is going to give Mukti and Vaikuntha, even to those who were apparently against him, but were somehow connected to him, what to speak of devotees of Braj? How much higher their destination will be. Obviously, devotees will get something which is higher than what the others get. And that higher is not just freedom from birth and death, but an intimate personal relationship with the Lord eternally in the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan. That is the aspiration of those who are followers of the Gita and the Bhagavad. Okay, so with this, I will end. This is how the chapter ends. And in the next chapter, actually, Uddhav continues to remember Krishna's pastimes, but then he moves on to those Leelas which happened beyond Braj. So in this chapter, he discusses Leelas about Braj. So some of these Leelas which are very briefly mentioned here by Uddhav are described in great detail in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavad. So when we come to the 10th canto, some of these Leelas will discuss more detail. So right now, these are brief recollections of the absorption and the ecstasies that Uddhav is experiencing in separation from Krishna. Okay, so any questions, any comments before we recite the Damodar Ashtaka?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Sudhir Sundar Prabhu.
Prabhu, I just wanted to confirm something. As far as I understand, the word childhood pastime of Krishna, it's only when he when he appeared in this material world, isn't it? Because as far as the spiritual world is concerned, he will remain at the youthful age of 16. Am I right, Prabhu?
Yeah, 14 something.
Okay, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu.
Correct. Yeah. So Prabhu is just bringing this point to say that in the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna eternally remains at one age. Because when the Lord appears here in this world, he's born as a baby, and externally it appears he's growing into a boy. Yeah, and in Braj he is there for 11 years, and then he goes to Mathura, and then from there to Dwarka and so on, then the Kurukshetra pastimes and so on. But in Dwarka, Krishna seems to be of the age of around 24, but he never externally appears to age beyond the age of 24. The Lord lived on this planet for 125 years, if I'm not wrong. But he looked like a 24-year-old youth, even at that age. But the Krishna of Braj in Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual world is around 14 odd years old eternally. So in the spiritual world, there is no childhood Leela. The childhood Leela of Krishna happens only when the Lord appears in this world, because that is where his childhood pastimes are manifest. Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. That's correct. Anything else? Anybody wants to add anything, say anything? Upendra Prabhu? Okay. So if there is no questions, no comments, then we will do the Damodar Ashtakam. So again, like what I mentioned, we will offer our ghee lamps to Lord Damodara, and you can offer to your respective altars. If you want, you can show the altar to the devotees here on your video, if possible. You can remain on mute as we are singing together. You can, if you don't know the song by heart, you can look it up, Damodar Ashtaka, on the net, or if you have a song book, you can look up there, and you can keep a ghee lamp ready, and then you can offer it. Yeah. So let us sing along for the pleasure of the Lord, O Lord Damodar. Namamishwaram Sachidanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Dokule Brajamanam Yashodabhiyolukhaladhabamanam Param Rishtamatyantato Dritya Gopya Rudantam Muhurnetram Yugmam Rijantam Karam Bhoja Yugmena Satankanetram Muhushwasakam Patri Rekhanka Kantha Stita Graivam Damodaram Bhakti Baddham Iti Driksvalilabhirananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantam Akyapayantam Tadiyeshi Tadneshu Bhaktairjitatvam Punaha Prematastam Shatabhriti Vande Varam Deva Moksham Na Moksham Vadimva Nachanyam Vrineham Vare Shadapiha Idam Teva Purnatha Gopala Balam Sada me manasya avirastam kimanyai Idam te mukham bojam atyanta nilair Vritam kuntalai snigdha raktaischa gopya Muhuschumbitam bimba raktadharam me Manasya avirastam alam lakshalabhai Namo Deva Damodar Ananta Vishnu Prasida Prabho Dukha Jalabdhi Magnam Tripadrishti Vrishtyati Dinam Batanu Grahane Shamamagyam Ediyachidrishya Suveratmajau Bada Murtyaiva Yadvat Vayamochitau bhakti bhajau kritau cha Tatha prema bhaktim swakam me prayacha Namokshe graho mesti damodareha Namaste stu damne svuradipti damne त्वदीयोदराय यथा विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयाय प्रियायै नमो नन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यं हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। श्री राधा दामोदर भगवान की जय। श्री कार्तिक मास की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। So thank you all very much, and you're also continuing to do the lamp offering in your respective homes in this very special month. Even a little bit devotional service performed in this month is very, very effective. And this month is especially important for us to develop attraction for Krishna, especially for the Vrindavan Leela. This month is also known as the month of Radharani, the Urja month, the Urja Vrat. And in this month, the Lord very liberally, through the grace of Radharani, distributes attraction for him, attachment for him. What we want, the Lord gives many kinds of blessings. Some blessings are removal of miseries. Some blessings are various successes and achievements in this world. And fine, all those if we get, we have no problem. It's not that we want to lead miserable lives or we want to be unsuccessful. No, all those are welcome. But what is the ultimate real blessing from the Lord? That having got which, automatically all other things will automatically become either achieved or inconsequential. That is that intense attachment to the Lord. Because like Uddhava was saying, when that attachment, that intense attachment is that intense attachment to the Lord, because the soul is a part and parcel of the Lord, that intense attachment is so deeply satisfying to the soul, so deeply nourishing to the soul. It makes the soul feel so full of happiness, full satisfaction, full fulfillment, complete. We're all in a quest for completeness. We think we will get completeness by material success or by having a lover in this material world. We expect to get some completeness. We expect to get completeness by some education. All these are just our endeavors towards completeness. But real completeness comes when we connect ourselves, because we are a part, and we connect ourselves to the complete whole. The complete whole, not HOLE whole, WHOLE whole. The complete whole. If you don't connect to the complete whole, then we fall into the whole of material existence. So that's why we should connect to the complete whole. Then we feel that. And that is what Krishna says. That when we feel that completeness in our heart, when we feel that satisfaction, then even when so many desires may come into this world through the various senses and so many disturbances may come, our heart is feeling so full and complete that it is no longer disturbed by these rivers. The ocean of our consciousness remains still and undisturbed, even as so many rivers may rush into it and try to overflow it, but it never overflows. It remains like the steady ocean. That's how the Gita explains. Very wonderful. So this is the goal worth striving for. And that is the message of the Gita and Bhagavad. So one should not think that if I achieve this love for God, what would I have achieved? How will I take care of all the other things? To understand bhakti, and the goal of bhakti means to understand properly that having attained this, automatically all other goals become automatically achieved. I am not saying this, Rup Goswami says this. He says that Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Kohe Sudruda Nischay Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. That faith, the definition of the Shraddha, faith, is that firm conviction that if I simply develop pure devotion to Krishna, automatically everything else is contained within it, in the sense that all the things that you're trying to attain, all attainments are contained within the attainment of love for the Lord. That is the beauty. So that is the conviction we should develop. Okay. So please keep this in mind, reflect on this. This is a very deep and important principle. And if we understand this and develop faith in this principle, we have actually understood the essential message of the Bhagavad and the Gita. This is what we have to understand. Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Hai. This is what we are striving for. Okay, so thank you all very much. I will see you on Wednesday. Yeah. So of course, it will be nice towards the end of the class if you can all turn on your videos for a few seconds, then I can see you. It's not fair. You see me, I don't see you. So I see always Shalini ji, the Chabara family I can see all the time. Sneha ji I can see. Praveen, Hare Krishna, you're looking, your face is beaming with happiness. Neha, nice, I saw your altar, very nice. Thank you. Your Damodar I saw. Yes, Pratima ji, Gangotri Mata ji, Sham, Hare Krishna. Sham is in another room.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji.
Hari Bol. Amit Prabhu. Upendra Prabhu, Dandavats to you.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Dandavad, Hare Krishna. I'm always waiting when you will speak some words of wisdom, but you are becoming conjuice. You are not sharing. Upendra Prabhu is a wonderful devotee of Vrindavan mood.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Ashwin.
Hare Krishna Prabhu ji.
And Ravi, Hare Krishna. Nice to see you also. Shraddha ji also. Shraddha ji also keeps her camera on most of the time. Sneha ji also I see most of the time. Very nice. Thank you. I saw she's still connected now. I think she is disconnected. No, she's here. My Anju Atya from India is also connecting. Anju Atya, nice to see you also. Thank you. So happy you are connected again. So she's my mother's cousin. She's connected from India. So I'm very happy. Always seeking blessings of my elders. So thank you so much.
Very, very nice discourse. Enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your blessings. And Amit Shetty here, if you can see, he's one of my most dear friends, my childhood friend since school. Right now, he's shaved his head, inspired by the Bhagavad.
Krishna.
Just joking. Anyway, he's a very dear friend of mine. He's currently in Pune. Of course, based in Nasik of late, but is right now in Pune. So we both connected to the temple together in 1993. We both first met devotees together. 1993 is how many years ago? 27 years ago. Yeah. So thank you, Amit. Amit is a very dear friend of mine. And so many others. Of course, his parents are also connecting. Yes. So, and his brother Pratik also connects often. I'm not sure whether he's connected today. But I thank them also very much. I know them also from so many years. Yeah. So thank you all. Of course, Sudhir Sundar Prabhu's family Sachi Prema Mataji, Praneshwari Mataji, Meenal Mataji and family also. And the Hazari family also. Roy, thank you. Okay, so yeah, and also Suraj is busy, but I can see Mihira and Shalini ji also. They're also very regular. Oscar, Hemant also I see today. Thank you, Hemant, for connecting. And Ansini also. I see one name, Sini Sanjay. May I know who's this connecting, please? I am not able to relate with the name.
Hare Krishna, I am Rishikesh mother. Rishikesh,
Oh,
yeah,
yes, yes, yes. I know you. Of course, I know you. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for connecting.
Yeah, thank you.
How is Rishikesh?
Yeah, he's here. He's playing.
Very good, very good. Thank you for connecting.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you all on Wednesday. Okay, Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.